Hello, welcome to Reflective Teaching and Learning in Context. I hope this will be a valuable learning experience for all of us as we learn from each other. My name is Ana Maria Samper. This is a little bit background information on what I have done and do presently. There is a forum on Virtual Savana called Introduce Yourself, where I hope that each one of you will also post a little bit about yourselves so that we can get to know each other better. If you haven't done so, please go ahead and do so. I would like to start this introduction with this quote by John Dewey, 1916, because this is what we really want to do in this course. We want to promote deep thinking, deep learning, so that we can also promote it in our students. The objective of this course is to open a space for reflection that will enable you to analyze, discuss, and critically evaluate the methodological alternatives within your reach, so that you can make informed decisions regarding your teaching practice from both a theoretical and a practical perspective, thinking globally and acting locally in response to the specific needs of your teaching context. These are the understanding goals, large understandings that we would like you to develop and work through in the course. First, what factors does a reflective teacher need to take into account to improve his or her practice and student performance? Ultimately, that's why we want to improve, right? So that our students will also improve. How can we as teachers use reflection and collegial collaboration to improve our practice and our students' performance? Why is it important to become a reflective practitioner? Why does it matter? And finally, how can teachers' reflections be verbalized and translated into effective practice? Very often we talk the talk, but we don't walk the walk. So it's important to start integrating those two aspects. This is the methodology for the course. We will be having, of course, as you know, real-time sessions. They will be on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m., where we will have whole group interaction, but we will also have breakout sessions both in base groups and with random grouping. It's a good idea because of technological issues for you to be accessing the session early on. And please feel free to let us know if you have any difficulties. We will have technical support in case that you're unable to access. So please let me know via email or via Skype that you're having these difficulties. Also, we will have a short time for assessment at the very beginning, which you can start doing even before the session begins. And I will occasionally have videos running a little early, so anybody who wants to watch them could feel free to do so. Aside from the real-time sessions, there will also be independent work that you will be doing outside of the session. On Monday, the Monday before the session to the Sunday after the session is when each specific module will be open for you to work. You will, of course, be reading the material that's suggested, and please feel free to bring as many new resources as you want and hopefully share them with us. You will also be doing journal activities. These are non-graded activities that are more for your reflective process, and it will help you in accomplishing the tasks for the course and, of course, for your own learning process. You will be asked to make individual posts and also to give feedback to your colleagues. And you will be asked to work as hosts, probably for different groups because the group is so large. And that's a really important rule because you're going to be motivating, stimulating the conversation on the forums, and also summarizing the perspectives that are presented on them. We will also be doing collaborative work. You will be working in base groups. There's a reading on the forum which explains what that is. You'll be working with 2 or 3 people you feel comfortable with and that you can work easily with in order to meet both in the real-time sessions and outside of them to reflect together. And you will also be assessing the process with which you're working and making group posts and feedback to other groups. In this case, only one person will be posting on behalf of the group. Please take into account that it's important for you to learn from each other. There are many things that we will be learning from one another and taking advantage of the different backgrounds, the different experiences, all very, very interesting and productive that can only help us learn from each other. We want to be critical thinkers. We want to distance ourselves from what we normally do and look at other perspectives and other ways of seeing that will help us to enrich our practice. And of course, always learn more. It doesn't mean that necessarily that what we do is wrong. It just means that there are probably other ways of looking at it and certainly ways of enriching it from the experience of so many people. It's also important for you to open your minds. Very often we are very set in our ways. We know what we do works. We do excellent work with our students. However, I know that the reason that you're here in a master's program making so many sacrifices and hard work is precisely because you know that there are many, many more things to learn and many interesting avenues to explore in your teaching practice. There is a large course task that will be divided into different parts throughout the course and that will have a final product. You're going to start by observing yourselves, and very quickly we need you to upload a lesson plan that you would like to share with us, but especially of a lesson that you will be able to teach before the end of the school year. We know that we're a little short on time, and that's why it's something that must be done very quickly. Therefore, you will upload that lesson plan and teach and record your lesson and upload that recording as well. After that, you're going to state your beliefs. You're going to write about your teaching philosophy. What are those principles that underpin what it is that you do? Based on that teaching philosophy, you're going to look at your lesson plan and your recorded lesson and see which are those principles that emerge in your teaching. What are those theoretical bases that come out when you enact your teaching practice? But it won't be just you looking at yourself. We're going to also listen to others who will give you feedback on that lesson plan and on the recorded lesson so that you have other perspectives. So it's not your own perspective, which of course is very valuable, but you also get a look from an outsider, which also will give you great insight as to what is happening in your practice. And finally, you are going to develop an action plan. Some way to look at specific elements that you would like to improve, enrich, transform in your practice, and you're going to write that down in a very concrete and measurable way so that it will be helpful to you in modifying, transforming, enriching your practice, and therefore starting a new cycle of observing, reflecting, and acting. The grade for effective teaching and learning in context is a product of your self-assessment and will be derived from self, peer, and teacher evaluation of the following products. Therefore, you will be assigning the grade for the course based on very specific criteria that you need to follow. Therefore, as when we do this exercise with our own students, it's not the grade that they want, it's the grade that they effectively get from bringing together criteria on assessing the work and also information from different sources. Of course, from your own reflection, from the feedback that you get from your colleagues, and from me. In that sense, there are 3 large graded assignments or elements that you need to take into account for that assessment. The first thing is the final product, which is an action plan to improve your lessons and your practice, and that's worth 40%. The second is what actually happens in the sessions as such, the online discussion forum, your participation both in the real-time sessions as well as the discussion forums and any other activities that are proposed on the platform, which is also worth 40%, and the document on your teaching philosophy, which is worth 20%. Throughout the course, you will be provided with specific guidelines for every task, and each one will have its corresponding assessment. It's important to take note of late work policy. No work will be accepted if submitted past the due date, and work that is not submitted is equals to 0 in the gradebook. However, we realize that because of your very busy lives, your professionals, your family members, you have your own social and personal activities, Therefore, there may be extenuating circumstances that will not allow you to present the work on time or participate effectively in the activities. I would appreciate it if you make me aware of this as soon as possible, ideally beforehand, but I know that sometimes there are emergencies and last minute things that come up. Therefore, as soon as possible after the event, in order to modify submission dates or to coordinate makeup work. I really need to be aware that these things are happening so that at the end of the course we don't have difficulties. Sometimes when you post something, you may find that it doesn't meet the criteria or is not up to the standard that you would like that work to have. Therefore, you're more than welcome to repost improved work as long as you take into account these three situations. One, that you make the initial posting before the due date. There will be no opportunities to repost improved work for late submissions unless they are within the characteristics of the extenuating circumstances that I already talked about. It's really important that you make me aware of your intention to repost your work. This is a really large group, therefore I will not always be aware that you're reposting unless you actively tell me so. So please let me know when you feel that you can upload the work that you missed, and also when you effectively do so that I can check it. And also please follow the guidelines for subsequent postings. Again, because it's a large group, I may just open a new place on the virtual platform for you to post corrections, and so they're all together and I can look at them and they're not, embedded in previous conversations. A final note: educational change is in teachers' minds and hands. Promoting teachers' change is in teacher educators' minds and hands. We really do make a difference, and the way that we teach will profoundly impact our students and education in general. What we do really matters, and it's in your hands and my hands to make sure that that's what happens in this course. If students start to experience deep learning, we must become experts at deep learning ourselves. Unless we become more reflective, self-directed, and focused on understanding, there's little hope for our students to become so. We really must experience what we want our students to be able to do. Many times, teacher education is a very rational, intellectual activity, and we forget how important affective and emotional factors are to learning. And so we would hope that as teachers we experience those same situations that we want our students to experience. It is our duty to reflect on our practices to ensure that they contribute to these changes that are vital for education. A little humor on which to end this presentation. I'm very grateful and honored to be able to accompany you on this voyage of learning, and I'm very, very sure that I will learn a lot from you and that we will all learn from each other in this process. Thank you so much for being in this course.